One big issue at the track last year was brake fade, so the most important upgrade in 2025 was upgrading front brakes. The E46-33i brakes you see here really didn't cut it at the track, so thought I would give these a try from ATTKD. Decided to purchase the 356mm rotors with the 6-pot caliper. The kit also comes with brake lines and all the accessories to bolt straight onto an E36. Supplier of these brakes is Just Jap in New South Wales. You can see the details on the screen now. I will include a review and feedback on these after the first track day. So let's get started by removing the front calipers. One thing I would like to find out is the weight difference between the existing brake setup and the new brake setup. So we might go and weigh them. That's of course once I get this off. So the weight of the old caliper and bracket is 6.5 kg. And the weight of the rotor is 8.6. So that's a total of 15.1 kg. And the weight of the new caliper and bracket is 5.1. And the weight of the rotor is 9.2. So that gives a total of 14.3 kg. So the good news is the new brakes are lighter. In fact, a total of 1.6 kilograms lighter. With a bigger rotor plus a 6-pot caliper has to make a huge difference. The direction of the rotor is important, and after reading some conflicting information, I came to the conclusion that if the rotor has directional fins, they must point towards the rear of the car. Other dead giveaway was the rotor came in a bag that said left-hand side. The kit also comes with shims. Didn't have to install any on the bracket, the bolts to the hub, as the offset was spot on. However, I did install 2 shims on the caliper bracket to step the brake pads out level with the edge of the rotor. To the right hand side now. After removing the rotor, gave the hub a clean and buff to make sure the new rotor sat flat. Then also applied a small amount of grease. Bag says right hand side, pretty hard to get it wrong. Back to the left hand side to install the pads. Pretty easy, just remove the 2 bolts. Install the pads. Reinstall 1 bolt, then the retainer clip, and then the second bolt. The other really annoying thing I had last year was a burning paint smell, and now that the engine is removed I can see why. The heat from the extractors has melted the paint. Also melted this plastic bracket which was holding the rear brake lines in place. I can only imagine how hot the brake fluid was getting. To start with, I will be sanding the damaged area back to bare metal, then treating the area with this high temperature paint. The paint and underbody has been completely removed and cleaned down, ready for paint. So I'm just doing one last clean with wax and grease remover. We'll let that dry. So just to show you the paint I'm using again, this is high temperature paint and it can go directly onto bare metal. So it's about 20 minutes later now, so I'm going to turn the extractors on and do the second coat. Also worth noting, this paint has a curing temperature of about 200 degrees Celsius. With that complete, and while the engine is out, I thought I would give the engine bay a quick paint. Apart from a few damaged areas, the existing clear coat was sanded with a red Scotch-Brite pad, then cleaned down with wax and grease remover. The bare metal was painted with an etch primer before applying the base coat. Should really have applied a black base coat on the primer, but didn't have any. Then to 2 coats of clear. Just a few more things to complete and we'll be ready for the new engine. As you would have seen from an earlier clip, the brake lines running down the side of the extractors was a bad idea. So what I'm doing here is running the rear brake line through the firewall and inside of the car. The brake line then exits the car through this bulkhead and connects into the original rear brake line T-piece. Also going to run heat shielding over the brake lines. This was a bit of a mission over the 90-degree connector, but got there in the end. Fronts were fabricated in hardline, from the master cylinder into a T-piece and then into the front brakes. These were also covered in heat shielding. I then secured the lines to the firewall using P-clamps and riv nuts. Also secured the brake bias cable with the P-clamp that allowed sufficient slack for the brake pedal arm to push out. The final installation for this episode is a new radiator header tank. I had this custom made by a local fabricator. After buffing the scratches out, I sanded the tank with 360 grit paper on the orbital sander. Masked up the threads and gave it a good clean. Once dry, sprayed an adhesive promoter before applying the etch primer. After that, sprayed the primer and then the 2-pack satin black. To install in the tank now. This had been pre-fitted prior to spraying, so installing the tank was just 2 bolts into existing riff nuts. As you can see, I've spent a fair amount of time in the off-season fixing small issues, but getting close now to installing the LS2. Should only be a couple of weeks now. I will try and get the install, first start and dyno in the next episode. So if you'd like to see this, please subscribe and I'll see you soon.